How did you shift from going into treatment centers to now you're a med student? You started this massive Instagram account, you run ultras. Do you feel like there was a certain God moment you had, or do you feel like it was an accumulation or build of sorts?
I think it was an accumulation of a couple different things. I think getting sober was very difficult and I went through a lot of pain. I'd say that it was probably a close call, but I'd say that my first 2 years of sobriety were probably arguably even more painful than my active addiction. And then I also feel like getting spiritually fit around year 2, year 3. So what that means is going and getting connected to God, being around people that are connected to God, that are pushing you to get connected to God, and continuing to push you hey, read this scripture, you should read this book every morning. Are you praying? Are you devoting time every single day to send something up to God? Are you asking for direction? Are you praying on your knees? That's a big thing. You can sum all that up to self-development.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Get Real Show. We are here for episode 3 with a personal friend of mine, David Millar from David Millar Mindset, to get real with us.
Yeah, great to be here. Second time.
Yeah. So in New York, obviously, we already did an episode, and that was one of my first episodes I ever did.
Right.
So hopefully we can touch on some of those same points and see how our views have really shifted in the past couple of years and cover some more interesting topics. But I think the overarching themes will be obviously sobriety, prayer, God, family, and your journey here.
Right.
I think we've had extremely parallel paths with differences along the way, but there have been some overarching themes, I think, in both of our journeys that are extremely similar. So I've loved following you, and I love seeing everything that you're doing. I think is quite inspiring. So I'm looking forward to getting real.
Yeah, I agree. So am I. I don't think I had the Instagram the last time we
did
did
that. You didn't.
And we were just cooped up in a NYC apartment.
Yeah.
On your couch.
Yes. Yeah. So the Get Real has obviously seen 3 different cities now, many different stages. It's a bit better production at this point. So glad to have you fly all the way here.
Yeah. I guess I'll just say my name's David. I am in long-term recovery, 6 years. I'll have 7 years, God willing, in April. I'm currently a medical student. I do a lot of long races, and I run an online social media profile, which is how a lot of people know me, where I post about my life. I post about sobriety. I post a lot of quotes, post a lot of motivational things about my lifestyle. And happy to be here and really excited to talk.
Yeah. Long runs, I think, is a understatement. So first of all, I want to really start off with your journey to getting to sobriety, because a lot of people didn't realize how bad it was for you.
Right.
And I think that's something that's common in both of our stories, and I think gets overlooked quite often when it's a teenager struggling.
Right.
Because so many people see them and think, oh, they're just being a teenager, they're just being a kid. There's nothing actually wrong there. So sometimes I think it's difficult to realize when you actually do have a problem and when it actually is more than just being a kid or just having fun. How did you really make that differentiation and realize that you had to get sober?
I think it was kind of just, I feel as though I shouldn't be here. I feel as though I was put in so many situations where either at my own hand or at the hand of some sort of substance I was putting in my body, I should have died. I was in a very bad place mentally. I was suicidal. I was trying to kill myself. I was ingesting literally anything I could get my hands on. I was just like a trash can for any kind of substance. Because that's just the reality of my situation. That's the reality of my sobriety. That's the reality of how serious this is for me. And, I also have a lot of friends in recovery, and I was just talking about this with somebody. I get at least 3 phone calls a year of so-and-so passed away. This guy I used to go to meetings with passed away. This woman I used to go to meetings with passed away. This person I used to live with for a year passed away. And it's just a serious thing for me. And I think that was just I was aware of that right away when I started using. I think I was aware of what it did for me right away. It did something for me. It took something away that I didn't know could be taken away. It made me feel something I never felt before. It was a total white light experience. It felt like something had just came down from the heavens and like comforted me, was giving me like a ginormous hug.
Mhm.
I was able to socialize with people. I was able to make friends. I wasn't in my head. It was just, it relieved problems for me that I didn't even know were problems.
Mhm.
And right when it did that, I kind of knew that this wasn't gonna be good, because I also had the experience of like seeing other family members struggle with it. And that's
Mhm.
something that like kind of like pushed me away from it for a while. Like I saw what it did to people in my family and I was like, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I might have that same predisposition to get addicted. And but sure enough, I had the opportunity to do it and I did it. And I kind of just knew that it was likely a matter of time. I knew that I saw the way that I was getting high with my friends. I saw the way that my friends would drink, and I knew that it was different for me. I knew that I latched onto it more. I knew that I had more of a predisposition to go and get a bag of cocaine. I knew I was the one who was pushing the Molly. I was like secretly popping Molly a lot of times when like none of my friends were. My
Yeah.
friends didn't even know I had it on me. I was
Mhm.
secretly getting a bag when they didn't know about it.
Yeah.
I was always the one pushing like, oh, we should do this. Like we should take it to the next level, because it just like it did something for me that nothing had ever done for me before. And ultimately, like that just led me into situations that were just threatening for my life. And luckily, I had the right people around me to kind of help me get through it and see it for what it is. Because when you're in that situation too, it's like you're so delusional and you're just a slave to the substance that it blinds your view. You can't really see. Like you're just so concerned about getting the next fix, not feeling the way that you want to feel. So luckily I had people around me that like forced me to get the help that I needed. But I agree with you. I think it's totally different when it's somebody that's like a teenager, somebody that's not fully independent getting
Mhm.
sober. It's so different, because even when you go to treatment, it's like you see people that are like, I used to go to treatment and I'd see people that were like 30 years old, live in their own apartment, do their own thing, not sufficient on mom and dad anymore. I'm like 18, right? So I'm still
Mhm.
sufficient on mom and dad a little bit. But I'd see these people and I would get jealous of them in treatment, because I'd be like, this guy has it made. Like he can just get high the way he wants to get high. I just wanted to get high the way I wanted to get high. Like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I'd go to treatment and I would see that. I'd see people that had their own place and they were getting high the way they wanted to get high. And I'd get jealous. I'd be like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's what I've been trying.
Mm.
That's what I've been looking for. I just
Yeah.
wanted like a month. I just want to get high the way I want to get high. I was never really able to do that because I was so sufficient on other people. And I think it worked in my advantage in a way, though. I think that it forced me to get the help that I need sooner.
Yeah.
So I think that that's like a thing that should be recognized when you're dealing with younger people who are still sufficient on their family for the most part, because they're young.
Yeah.
I think that it's a hand that you can kind of play to help them get the help that they need sooner. And it helped me out in the long run, because it's like I got sober at 20. So like I'm so grateful for that, because you go to AA and it's like you see these people that are like 50 and just getting sober now. It's like that's like, those people still can come back from that, but still it's like that's a lot of time that you've wasted, you
Mhm.
know? So yeah, I agree with you. I think it's like a totally different game when you got somebody who's like 18 and then when you got somebody who's like 40 or 50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And was it your parents or someone else that was pushing you to get help, or was it you that decided that you wanted to get help?
Yeah, it was my parents, the people around me. I mean, I was getting kicked out of living spaces. I was not like any financial like benefit that I had from my parents or people around me was cut off because I was just irresponsible getting high. So when those things got taken away from me, it was put me in like a more susceptible position to try to go to rehab and hit the
Mhm.
reset button. But I would even like take advantage of that too, because I would just go to detox and I would hit the reset button for a week. And then after that, I would just come back out and start doing what I was doing.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that my parents showed me like my mom showed me the right amount of like tough love,
Yeah.
to the point where like she wasn't gonna co-sign any of my bullshit anymore, and she was still gonna love me, but it was gonna be a different kind of love. And I think I needed that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I see a lot of similarities with like myself where I did something very similar where there was a lot of addiction in my family and I knew that I was susceptible and had that awareness before I got into it. And I remember drinking a lot later than a lot of my friends, like starting a lot later and always saying like, "Oh, I have to be careful because I have
Yeah.
these family members." And then the second I tried it, it was just off to the races. I
Right.
did not care about that again. I did not think about that again. It was just exactly what you said, took away everything.
Right.
And yeah, it's like from at that age, you don't even really know what that is that it's taking away, but it just quiets the voices and
So true.
makes you more present, I guess, for people
Yes.
that struggle to feel like they're interacting the proper way or
Right.
in the room with people the proper way. Like I always say, like, and I've heard other alcoholics say this too, they felt like they were watching life from like a movie
Yeah. Yeah.
and that they didn't get the script on life.
Yeah.
And the first time I heard someone say that, I was like, wow, I've never heard that articulated in that
Yeah.
way. And that's exactly how I felt. Like everyone else got this script or book on life and that I did not.
Right.
So I was the exact same way. The second I started drinking, it was
Yeah.
just like off to the races. But I think it took me a bit to have any awareness that mine was different because I think I was surrounding myself in environments where other people were heavily binge drinking
Yeah.
and in environments where people kept telling me like, oh, we're just being teenagers, it's
Right.
just normal, like, and having people that I thought were role models and stuff normalizing this behavior, I think it took me a lot longer to realize that I even had a problem with it, which was definitely something that's tough. So I think there should definitely be
Yeah.
a way for teenagers to be able to differentiate when this is a problem and when it's not.
Would you say that there was like some underlying feelings of guilt and shame when you were using substances or drinking? Like,
I don't think until a little bit older. So I think I started drinking at about 16
yeah.
and when it started getting mixed with when I started doing cocaine
Yeah.
and mixing it, then the guilt and shame was coming and when I was hurting people, that's when it
Right.
started coming.
Right.
But my story is very intermixed with eating disorders as
Right.
well. So I had a lot of guilt and shame from that.
Right.
So I would then use the drinking and drugs to cover up that. But definitely once drugs were involved, the guilt and shame came. And once I started to noticeably hurt people.
Yeah.
But in the first couple years, not really.
Yeah. That's what I try to hit on with people too. Cause I think alcohol is a little different. Like I feel like it's so like socially normalized that like you don't feel as much guilt and shame from alcohol. But like in the drug world, it's like if you take a substance that you know is like illegal, you know is not good for your body. You know it's making you feel good, but you're not putting in any work. So technically it's like you're cheating to feel good because you're not putting in any work beforehand.
Yeah.
It's like there's a underlying level of guilt and shame associated with that for me it was like from the jump. Like from the jump, I felt that way. Maybe not the same way about alcohol, but for drugs, I felt that way. But it's slight. It's slight. It builds up over time the more and more that you do it. So what I try to do for like people I work with is I try to like get them to notice that feeling of like the moral like combat that goes on when you are using substances like that, because I think it's important. I think that like it tells you, it gives you direction in a way. And I felt like I never thought of those thoughts as like a compass. I just thought that I needed to shove them under the rug and not think about them. But guilt and shame has been like a phenomenal compass for me in life, because it's just like the way that I see it, it's like God kind of telling me like, hey, you probably shouldn't be doing that. You know, it's like when I'm using drugs, it's like, you probably shouldn't be doing that. You're getting high and you're just releasing all your dopamine and you're literally doing no work to make yourself feel that way. You probably shouldn't be doing that, right? And then it's the same thing, and I talk about this a lot. It's like the same thing with pornography. It's like you probably shouldn't be watching porn because you're making yourself feel good and you're not doing any work. There's no connection there. You probably shouldn't be doing that. And then it's like, okay, like I stopped watching that. Because like when you tune into those emotions, it's like you start to understand that like, well, actually like that voice is right. Like that voice is giving me direction. Like maybe I should listen to that. Right. So I have a lot of people like journal on that and like really like explore those feelings, because I feel like a lot of those feelings are low key, like God kind of talking to you and giving you direction from afar. Like, yo, like, don't do that. Like, do you want to wake up tomorrow and feel good? Or do you want to feel like a piece of shit? Like, don't do that. Don't watch porn. Don't get high. Like walk through it and get to the other side, and the delayed gratification will start to accumulate, and you'll still feel the same high. That's the thing. Like you'll still feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's just not instantaneous.
Yeah.
Because it can't be. If it was instantaneous, it would be no different than alcohol and drugs. It needs to be slightly different. It needs to be slightly difficult. To get to the other side, you need to go through discomfort. So that's always what I try to hit on with people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, I remember the very first time I tried cocaine immediately feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Because I remember Chris Herron coming to our school and telling his story and him saying it was from the first time that he knew. And I guess I did develop some form of self-awareness because I knew I had an addictive personality. And I remember pushing it off for so long. I had been offered it multiple times. I was told that even when I was blacked out that I had said no to it. So I somehow was able to fight it off for a bit. And then the very first time I remember feeling so guilty, like absolutely guilt-ridden. But I think that's exactly what you said. So important is even not with drugs and alcohol, using that as a compass, because I know there's been times where I start to feel the guilt and shame doing something I know I shouldn't be doing, and you push it off, and you think it's not going to have an effect on you, and it absolutely will.
100%.
Like it always comes back for you.
100%. Yeah.
And how did you shift from going into treatment centers to now you're a med student? You started this massive Instagram account, you run ultras. Like, do you feel like there was a certain God moment you had, or do you feel like it was an accumulation or build of sorts?
I think it was an accumulation of a couple different things. I think for me, getting sober was very difficult, and I went through a lot of pain. I'd say that it was probably a close call, but I'd say that my first like 2 years of sobriety were probably arguably even more painful than my active addiction because I lost my best friend, and I just felt like my best friend being like drugs and alcohol. I just felt like I wasn't enough, and I had a lot of like internal things that I had to fight through. I had a lot of mental things going on. I was like diagnosed with a bunch of different things. I was taking a bunch of different medications. At the end of the day, like in my opinion, I didn't need to be on any of that medication. My problem was alcoholism, and I needed to walk through that pain. So I feel like going through all that pain, and then I also feel like getting spiritually fit around year 2, year 3. So what that means is like, going and getting connected to God, being around people that are like connected to God, that are pushing you to get connected to God, and like continuing to push you, like, hey, like read this scripture, like you should read this book every morning, like, are you praying? Like, are you devoting time every single day to send something up to God? Are you asking for direction? Are you praying on your knees? That's a big thing. Like, are you journaling? Are you reflecting? Being around people like that, and the process, that's basically like, you can sum all that up to self-development. All that is just developing the self. And when you develop the self, it's like, it becomes very clear, like what you're supposed to do. Like, yes, is it still difficult? Does it take time? Yes. But like, if you nail those small habits every single day, like journaling, meditating, prayer, like following that voice of guilt and shame, not doing things that make you feel like shit. If you follow those things for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, it is like a massive accumulation in your life. And it's a massive benefit. So through the process of doing all those small things, it's just kind of opened up my eyes to like, this is why I'm here. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I always had like a creative fire inside of me, even when I was getting sober, even when I was using, even when I like wanted to kill myself, like I still had a creative fire. I had a desire to create. And, through sobriety and through all the self-development tools, I've been able to harness that desire and kind of like put it out there through the Instagram. So like, that's what the Instagram is for me. It satiates my creative desire. So I did that. And then the running is just like, I could sum that up to pain. I mean, pain is a huge part of my story. I talk about pain like it's a great thing. A lot of people don't have a good relationship with pain. I feel like I have a great relationship with pain. I know that sounds weird, me just saying that, but it's true. It's true. And that's why I run the ultras. I run the ultras to be, it's the journey of completing an ultra marathon is nearly identical to the journey of going through recovery. Yeah. It is nearly the same thing. It is so beautifully similar. It's crazy because you hit the same emotions that you hit in recovery, and you think that you can't make it. Like, you think you have to stop. You think you have to go back to the drug or the drink, but you just keep going anyway because I have the experience of like pain is what allows me to continue to grow at an accelerated rate more than the people that aren't putting themselves through the healthy torture. I'm growing faster than them because I'm putting myself in these situations where I have my back up against the wall and I need to make decisions like this. I need to operate under maximum discomfort. That's what the ultras do for me. And that's like my day one. Like, because the first 2 years of recovery for me was a ginormous ultra marathon. That's what it was. I wasn't actually running, but it was an ultra marathon. Sometimes I run ultra marathons, I feel like I'm not even running because it's not even physical. It's a mental game. It's a spiritual game. It's an emotional game. It's not physical at all, right? So that's why I continue to run the ultras in medical school, while coaching, while doing all this other stuff, because that's my day one. I need to continue going through pain because pain is what allows me to grow. Pain is the opportunity of a lifetime for me. I've seen it over and over again. When I was just getting sober and I was being introduced to these levels of pain that I'd never felt before, I didn't understand. I didn't understand at the time why I needed to feel that way. I didn't understand why God was making me feel that way. I didn't get it. And that's why I woke up in self-pity. And that's why I woke up as a victim every day. And I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in that feeling. But now I understand because I went through it and I got to the other side. And now I look back and I'm like, if I didn't feel that way, I would not be in medical school right now. If somebody gave me a pill to take that away, I would not be in medical school right now. If somebody had the magical solution that just made all that pain disappear, I would not be in medical school right now. I would not be running ultra marathons right now. I would not have a social media account. I would not be coaching people because I needed to go through the pain. It allowed me to learn who I really was. And that's something I push on people all the time because I feel like nobody really talks about this. Like, you need that healthy torture in your life. You need to be in those situations where you start to feel like it's impossible for you to get to the other side, and you need to just sit in it until you figure out a way. It's so correlational to life. It's so correlational to everything else, that like the difficulties that life throws at me that have literally no relation to running at all, I can handle those same difficulties with the mindset that I used to handle running 100 miles. Yeah. It's so crazy how correlational it is. It's such a good skill to build. So that's why I do the ultras. And the medical school thing is like, there's kind of two answers for this, because a part of me was like, when I was getting sober, being unintelligent was like an insecurity for me. Like I felt dumb. I felt like I had a terrible SAT score. I was never really a good student. And maybe I like wanted to be a little bit when I was getting high, or before I even started using it. It was an insecurity for me. And I got sober, and I was going to college while I was sober for like my first year. And I would come home and I'd be so anxious. I'd be so in my head. I'd had to give all my homework to my sober roommates. They would do my homework for me because I wouldn't even be able to like focus to like write a page. It was awful. It was awful. When people talk about like anxiety and depression, like I get that because that was me my first year. And I woke up every single day. They had me on like it's called like an action item at the treatment center I was at. I was so strung up and in my head all the time. They made me meditate for 20 minutes a day, every single day for a year. And if I didn't do it, I had to write an essay, because that's like how like in my head I was. I needed to like sit down and like try to like sort that out 20 minutes a day in a meditation. And I wasn't able to do my homework because of it. So I would go to these college campus, like this community college, and I would come home with my homework. I'd give it to my roommates. Hey, can you do this? And like that was like an insecurity for me. But what happened was, through the process of self-development, I was like, maybe I should explore that. Like, am I really dumb? Like, am I really not able to develop the skills to learn? Am I really not able to, pass a test? Am I really not able to sit down and concentrate for more than 20 minutes? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe I should try to figure that out. So like, naturally I just kind of like dove into that. I leaned into that insecurity a little bit. I was like, let me figure this out. Like, is this a truth? Like, I'm telling myself this, but is it true? Yeah. Is it really true? And through that process, I've kind of like, now it's like, I'm in medical school. So like, was it true? Like, no, it wasn't. It was just an insecurity that I was just like, happened to be telling myself, and happened to be getting tripped up in my head for God knows how long, right? Since high school. I mean, since I took my SAT and got an 800 on it, I felt dumb. But now it's like, I don't feel dumb anymore. So like, that wasn't even true. You know what I mean? So like, how many things in your life are you telling yourself that are true that aren't actually true? You just haven't put any effort in that avenue. And sometimes I feel like, as I reflect on that situation, I'm like, God was showing me where to go. He was making me feel that lack of. He was trying to get my attention. Some emotions are so rare, they can only be felt through pain. And that's what God was trying to show me in that moment. He was trying to say, listen, I'm going to make you feel this lack of to get your attention. Because if he made me feel good, I wouldn't have noticed. I would have just been like, fuck yeah, like I feel good, you know? But he made me feel the lack of. He made me feel the pain. And then I took a step back and I was like, oh, this hurts. You got me now. Like I'm listening, you know? And then I took that avenue and I went down there, and it's just like, I'm in medical school. So a lot of times I tell people too, I'm like, your life's purpose is hidden in your insecurities. You should lean into them. Why do you feel those negative emotions? Do you honestly believe that you feel those negative emotions? Like, do you honestly believe that when you feel those negative emotions, you're supposed to just run away from them and not think about them at all and shove them under the rug? Like, do you think that's a healthy way to handle the difficulties that are coming at you in life? Is that all you think this is? Do you think you're just supposed to feel that way and try to disregard that emotion? Like, do you actually think that? Or do you actually think that when you feel the difficulty that is inevitably going to come at you when life throws you challenging things, because life is hard. Not a lot of people talk about this, right? On Instagram, it's like people trying to get sober too. This is like what really gets me going. The sober coaches online that talk about getting sober like it's a cute hobby. It's not. It's not a cute hobby. It's war. That's the first thing I tell people on the phone. I'm like, this is going to be difficult and I can't do any of the work for you. I'm willing to stand there in the trenches with you. I've been through it. I can talk to you. I can share my experience with you, but this is on you. This is your fight. This is your war. I'll be there with you. Like, I can't even help you fight it. I can watch and talk to you through things, but I can't even really like help you shoot the gun. Like, that's you. You have to do that. Right. So the point of feeling negative emotions, in my opinion, right? Like, people are going to combat me on this, whatever. But like, in my opinion, it's like, I don't think that it's a coincidence that you feel a certain way about things. I think you're supposed to feel negative emotions and you're supposed to explore those negative emotions, right? And that's what I've done with my life. So people ask me like, oh, like, how did you go from smoking crack to running ultra marathons to going into medical school, trying to be a surgeon when you got an 800 on your SAT? It's like, bro, all I did was just like, I went through pain. Like, that's all I did. I went through pain and I trusted God and I drank water and not alcohol. That's what I did.
That is epic. That is absolutely epic. No, that is amazing. And I love, like, I could literally just sit here all day and listen to your story and listen to you talk, because you talk with such intensity and passion about it, which I think is so rare today, which is unfortunate because, like, I just feel like people don't take life seriously enough. And the fact that we're here a singular time, and that at the end of the day, we don't really know the point of life. But if you're not trying to explore all of the faults with ourselves and all of the pain within and try to fix that or combat that or see the other side of that, I truly don't get it. And it's kind of like the Kobe Bryant quote where he says, like, he doesn't really get the people that just want to be average and think average, and nor does he want to. That's where my head goes whenever I get tripped up in thinking, like, why do I think so differently than everyone?
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to think like that, because I can't imagine not feeling like this.
Right.
And I feel extremely similar, like what you said with being able to do the ultras, and that it's just applying what we learned when we got sober. That's the exact reason I love endurance events. And you can apply it to business or med school or whatever it is. Like, the job I have is basically all endurance. It's just, are you willing to stick through?
Right.
Are you willing to feel horrific, to feel good again one day? And people just can't last.
No.
No. And it's really being able to just take things on the nose and be able to feel that excruciating internal pain. And I think even like, yes, we experience that pain when we're sober, but like, what stuck out to me was at the very beginning, you said about how you did not feel enough. And I think that's something very common, is having deep-rooted sense of inadequacy, and I definitely feel that for as long as I can remember. So it's even pre-getting sober. I think you're forced to face that demon, and you're forced to face the fact that you feel that when you're getting sober, but that's something that's ingrained from such a young age, and the pain of that, I don't think can compare to feeling like you want to stop a run or stop a bike ride or something like that. Like if you're able to sit through that and figure out, why do I actually feel inadequate? Why do I feel like I'm not good enough? And what does that even mean? That's something I've explored so good, because I've always felt like I'm not good enough. And I'm like, good enough at what?
Yeah,
Good
like
enough
why?
to who?
Yeah, like why? You know? Like, are you sure about that? Like, have you tested that truth out? Like, a lot of people feel things. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly.
You have to test it out. You have to try it out, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like I'm passionate about it because I'm fighting for people's attention. I think that I feel as though I got very lucky early on in sobriety and getting sober, where I had a problem that was like very off the deep end very quickly, which I'm grateful for, because if it wasn't that way, I would have been the person that like got sober at like 40, 50, 60 and just been like, damn, I just have been a functioning drinker for all this time and I just wasted all these years and now I'm getting sober. I feel lucky that I got this thing when I was 20. And I see a lot of people, like, I know this for sure because I've been on the college campus, right? I've been sober on the college campus. I'm on the medical school campus. You know, there's other students on the medical school campus that aren't medical students, right? That are undergrads, that are nurses, whatever. And it's like, I see these people that are just like, they're just going and doing like the normal thing, you know? And a lot of these people are like, not that that's a bad thing, right? But I think there's a few people that are meant for more. They have a desire in them that like can't be satiated by the normal everyday going out, drinking. Maybe they're an alcoholic, maybe they're not. I don't know. But I'm trying to reach people that are in a situation that I was in and kind of like, you know, doomed to like the functional, like using functional drinking and just kind of wasting their life away until they're 40. I'm trying to reach people like that and be like, bro, there's another way. Like there's another way. And I'm trying to show it to you. I'm trying to show you that if you remove yourself from the friend group, right? Remove yourself from the normalcy of the everyday life, you know, start putting yourself in the fire, start running, start lifting, start getting intentional, start taking life seriously, right? Start journaling, start like when you tell yourself you're going to do something, actually do it. Like there's another level to this life. There's another way to like feel good. And it doesn't come from like doing the normal thing that everybody else is doing. Everybody, even in medical school, is going out on Friday and Saturday night and getting that fix. You know, it's not a bad thing. It's like they're allowed to do that. It's normal. I understand. I did it for years. I get it. But I know there's a select group of people out there that kills them on the inside. It kills them because they know deep down that they are meant for more. They are meant for more. They just don't know how to get there. They don't know that it's a possibility. They don't know that somebody can get sober at 20 years old and go through their entire 20s and learn how to wake up excited every single day without using a substance, without using a drink, right? So I feel like the passion comes from like me trying to explain that to people. I know my experience. I know like what my life used to look like. I'm familiar with the emotions that I used to have on the regular day, waking up in that first year. I'm familiar with that shitty feeling. And I'm also familiar 6 years later with the feeling that I have today. When I wake up, I look out my window, there's a giant hospital right out my window. And I get to wake up and go into the anatomy lab and learn about the body, which I love doing. I get to put my shoes on at 6 in the morning and go for a run. I get to go to the gym and lift. I get to coach people. You know, I get to do all these things that like really make me wake up and feel excited. And I just feel like I'm trying to portray that. And the Instagram's great for that because it kind of allows me to like broadcast this lifestyle to other people. So I think that's where the passion comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, people need to hear that. And I think that's something that's always inspired me, and that I could honestly do a better job at being more candid or vulnerable with my own experience, because I think sometimes you feel like you have to water it down to not offend people or sound like too much, honestly. And it's like, Honestly, there is a really dark side of this, and that's why I really started Get Real to begin with, because I feel like in the beginning I was like, "Oh, I was drank a lot of alcohol and now I'm like doing really well."
Yeah.
And that was it. And leaving it at that, and it's like, no, it's actually extremely difficult. I had extended periods of time where I didn't want to be alive. I didn't want to be here. Like, it is exactly what you said. It is war.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. And it's not like I just decided to stop drinking and then that was it. And that if you're able to get that across to people, then I think a lot of more people will wake up, because so many people give up so early on
Yeah.
because they try it for a week or 2 weeks and just think, oh, that's not really for me. Like, it's not supposed to be for you. That's
Right.
why you're like, it's not supposed to feel like it's supposed to be for you. It's going against your nature. It's going against what you want to do. That's the illness, is that you want to keep drinking.
Right.
Like, you have to fight the fact that that's what you want to do.
Right. I think that the it's funny because like when I was just like drinking and doing that, and then like even like the first year when I was sober, but I wasn't really like pushing any limits. Like I was just being like a good guy, you know,
Yeah.
sober, just being a good guy, you know, not really sure what was going on, but like nobody was like really hating on me then.
Yeah.
But then it's like you start to self-develop, and then you get those urges inside you and you're more aware of them because you're like studying yourself, studying your thoughts. And then you're like, I need to act on this. And then you act on it. And it's like, that's kind of how the Instagram came about. That's how the ultras came about. That's how like all my life today came about. And it's like the more and more I acted on them, the more and more I got hate. The more and more I started doing better for myself, the more and more I got hate.
Yeah.
The more and more followers I got on my Instagram, the more and more people hated me.
Wow.
So it's just like, what's more important to you?
Yeah.
What other people think about you, or following the path that God has laid out for you?
Yeah.
You know, and sobriety allows you to, what's so cool about getting sober is that it accelerates the whole process of self-discovery. It allows you to build the self-esteem, to build the confidence, to build the underlying knowledge of yourself, to know where you want to go, to be like, no, I'm sure I want to be a doctor. Like, I'm sure when I applied to medical school, I was sure that's what I wanted to do, because I had been sober long enough to understand myself. I had gone through the trial and error process. I had felt all the feelings that I needed to feel. And I got to the tipping point where I was like, no, this is definitely what I want to do 100%, but it didn't make sense to anybody else. It couldn't have, because the thing about it was, it didn't make sense. Like in real time, it didn't make sense, but God's math never makes sense. 2 + 2 is 5 for God. It's not 4, you know? So when I sat down to tell my mom, hey, look, I'm going to go into medical school, she didn't necessarily support me. Because she was like, that's kind of a selfish decision of you. We don't have a lot of money. You're in all this debt from undergrad. You're just gonna take this risk on us? And the crazy thing is, she was right. It was selfish. It wasn't right of me. It was me putting myself above everybody else. But I was sober, and I had the knowledge of myself, and I knew it was a risk worth taking. I knew it was going to work out, because I had self-developed to the point where I understood that was my path forward. That's what sobriety does for you. It makes you, it allows you to see your true purpose. It allows you to fall in love with yourself. It puts you in the position to listen to God, to listen to those emotions, to listen to that guilt and shame. So when it came time for me to that was hard for me when my mom was like that, because I knew she was right. Like, I knew she was right, but I knew I had been doing the work up until that point. I knew I'd been talking to God. I knew that was my path forward, and I needed to do it. And now it's like, you know, she supports me because she's able to see that, you know? But that's the cool thing about sobriety, is that it allows you to understand yourself on such a fundamental level. Nobody's opinion matters. There is no noise. There's no noise anymore for me. I used to listen to the noise. That's why I didn't start the Instagram account till like year 4, year 5. Yeah. That's why I didn't have the Instagram last time I came on your podcast, because I was listening to the noise. How long do you want to listen to the noise for? Yeah. How long do you want to how long do you want to prioritize other people's thoughts of you? Seriously, like, think about that. Yeah. Like there's people actually doing that. There's people putting other people's opinions of who they are above their own opinion of themselves. Yeah. And they're living like that for years and for decades. It's sad. It's a sad reality. So again, I'm coming back to the passion piece. That's where the passion comes from, because I see this happening, right? Like I see this at med school. I see this, like all this like cliquey, like friend group stuff. It's just like, bro, like you guys are going out to bars. It's like, these people aren't even your friends. Like your drinking buddies aren't even your friends. You can't even call them. They don't have any experience. They don't have anything to tell you when you call them up at 3 a.m. like, yo, I'm struggling with this. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, like I'm at the bar, come out and drink with me. Like the fuck, you know? It's just like, how long do you want to listen to the noise? How long do you want to be around fake people? Like, are you ready to take your life to the next level? Are you ready to get around people that you can actually call, that you can actually rely on? We both know Bill Lombard. I'm going to name drop his name because I know he doesn't care. But I call that guy at mile 80 in the middle of an ultra marathon at 3 a.m. He's 60 years old. He picks up, he stays on the phone with me for the whole entire night until I finish the race because he cares about me that much. Those friends are available for people. Those friends are waiting for you to go and make. But it's like people would rather prioritize what other people think of them, and they would rather be like in the cool group. Like that's why it's like I'm in medical school now. It's like I don't even really hang out with anybody in my class because I got tons of friends in AA. I got tons of friends that I could call in AA. I got tons of friends that like are actually doing stuff of value, that are actually have life experience, that have families, that have kids, that I'm just like wisdom mining from every single day, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. I could not relate more to anything. Like, I think especially like what you said, when you explored the lie of, oh, I'm not smart. So then you prove to yourself, oh, that was a lie. And once you start building that internal bank, you've realized that everything you've told yourself isn't necessarily the truth, and that society as a whole is trapped into these limitations. Like last time you came on, you told me about how you were doing ultra marathons. I'd never run an ultra marathon. I don't even think I'd run a marathon at that point.
Right.
I maybe ran 12 miles or something. And I was like, I want to run an ultra marathon. And I just thought there's no reason that if someone else can do that, that I can't do that, because I had already proven to myself other lies that I had told myself my whole life were false. So why wouldn't that lie be true too?
Right.
And when I went to do it, I actually had a friend say, like, what makes you think that you can do that? And it's like, why wouldn't I be able to do that? Like and so many people think like that. And I think as a whole, I know it's a generalization, but I think as a whole, our society is so sick right now,
Right.
where everyone is just trapped into thinking that there are so many limitations and there are so many distractions, from media to politics to everything going on, where it's meant to basically sicken us from our own food system. Like everything is trying to make us more distracted and not wake up and realize that all of this is essentially a lie, and that there are no limits. If you want to become a doctor, if you want to become a millionaire entrepreneur, if you want to run an ultra marathon, there's no reason that you can't do that. And then I even think, like, now that I've kind of established myself where I can do longer races and stuff, people will say, oh, I can't do that. Like, I wish I was like you or whatever. There is no like me. Like, I was not born with anything different. I just decided one day I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you just do it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's so incredible when you start to realize those lessons, and how you said about the fake friends and finding real people. Like, I only prioritize having a select few friends that are my real friends, rather than trying to make so many friends. Like, that's a big thing. I feel like so many people have big friend groups or big drinking groups. It's like, I don't want a big friend group, because I want people that I'm actually connected to, that I know you can call when you need something, or that you feel connected to on some level. And I've said this before, like, when I'm in a big room of people drinking and all of that, I feel more alone than when I'm by myself.
100%.
And I think that's another cue, like how we said the guilt is a cue and insecurity is a cue. Like, that's another cue to wake up.
Yeah. And a cue to know, like, so a question would be like, well, how do I know, like, if this friend is for me, or if this friend, when you start listening to those desires, and you start like following like your creative desire to like, you start feeding that creative desire, you know, like I said, it's like the more and more I followed that, the more and more hate I got, the more and more people like I began to realize like, oh, this person isn't for me. Like I thought this person was for me. Like this person is not for me because they're just like lighting me up for like taking this risk, or they're lighting me up for like posting this thing. And it's just like, and then there was like the select few people like Bill Lombard who was like, bro, you're doing a great job, you know, and just giving me like that positive reinforcement. And I was just like, that kind of reveals who the real people are that you need around you and who the people are that you need to discard. Because when you start getting to that next level and when you start acting on those things that like, you know, you need to act on, right? Like deep down, like the people that get mad at you are just people that have those same desires that just aren't taking the risks because they're scared, they're feared up. They don't have a God to go to. They don't have prayer. They haven't been journaling on themselves for years. They don't have like they haven't studied. They don't know that like, if I don't take those risks, if I don't take that jump, even if it's illogical, I'm going to be miserable the rest of my life because I never tried. I have to sit with the feeling of not knowing what would have happened if I started an Instagram, not knowing what would have happened if I started a podcast, not knowing what would have happened if I started the business. You know, they don't know. So they see other people like me and you doing these things and they're like, it's like a personal problem for them because they can't do it themselves. They're in so much fear. Yeah. So then that turns into like commenting on my shit or like, you know, like seeing me in person and being like, yo, like, you know, you're posting these videos, you're getting like 3 likes. Like, what are you doing? You know, but it's just like, you can't see what I'm doing. Yeah. You have no idea what I'm doing. You have no idea what I'm building right now. I'm following my desires. I'm following God, you know? So easy way to know who's on your team and who's not is to start taking those risks and watch people, see what people do, see who's hating on you, see who's on your team, see who's giving you positive reinforcement, even if you're like taking a risk that makes no sense, you know?
Yeah, definitely. No, and I think that only in sobriety you can fully hear and follow that voice. Like I've had instances where there was a large risk I took and every single person in my life said, do not do that. You will ruin your life. And I just did it. And it was honestly one of the best things I've ever done. And the more you do that, like it's so freeing on a very large scale. Obviously there can be serious consequence, but you just have to follow that. But then as it trickles down on a small scale, like you're not susceptible to trends. Like, I don't care what's being influenced at me. I don't care like I am awkward. I am crazy, but I'm exactly who I am and I don't care. Like I'll stand on that and I'm proud of who I am. And like when you know exactly who you are and you have no skeletons in your closet, like every skeleton of mine is out of the closet.
So is mine.
Like
so is mine.
There's a lot of skeletons, but they're all out of the closet.
That's what I love that about me. Yeah. I'm just like, you want to call me an alcoholic? Like, go ahead. Yeah. I love when people call me an alcoholic.
Exactly.
And usually like they only say that when they have a drink in their hand.
Exactly.
And I don't. So I'm like, oh, alcohol. Who's the alcoholic? You're the one giving me a weird look for declining a drink at the bar. Yeah. Like, you know, you're the one that's like judging me for not drinking, but you're the one with the drink in the hand. Yeah. So like who's got the problem? Who doesn't? Exactly. You know, my shit's all out there. Yeah. And it's out there for 2 reasons, really. It's out there, one, for myself. So like, you know, I can kind of just put it out there and to help so I think it's out there for one reason. It's out there to help other people. Yeah. It's out there to show other people like, hey, look, this is where I came from. This is all the fucked up shit I had going on in my life. This is the fucked up way of thinking I had going on. This is the fucked up thing. These are the fucked up things I was doing. But despite that, I was able to combat all of that and turn my life into what it is today.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we have like a very intense stance on like your shirt, the nobody cares, work harder. Like I like the messaging that you put out where it's like, we can have hard things happen to us and experience hard things and just continue to work. Like, I think there's 2 sides to Sober Curious Sobriety, all of it, where there's a side that almost, I think, overdoes or like coddles too much the
100% agree.
emotional side. And I think that I personally feel like emotion's very good because you can follow it. And I think it's important to lean into it sometimes. But on another hand, sometimes I think you just have to press on. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to look ahead and keep going.
Right.
And I think sometimes when you get too caught up in just delving into everything so deeply that you almost can get stuck, like just keep moving forward, recognize and look back on that. But that's why I think endurance is so good. When I'm on
Yeah.
these crazy endurance things, I look back on painful experiences and I acknowledge that and I work through that, but just keep pressing forward. Don't let your past hold you back.
Such a good thought. And I think it like, so the alcoholic mind, like somebody who has the mind of like who's predisposed to doing things that make them feel good, it's so powerful. But the reason that it's so powerful is because it's so black and white. So that's why if you have a problem, you can't fix your problem with moderation. That's
Mm.
why you can't like, it needs to be one way or the other. Do you want to be the full blown drinker or do you want to be totally abstinent and live that way? So the way that I think about the coddling and emotioning standpoint is like it's the same thing. For the
Mm.
alcoholic, it's black and white. There is no there rarely is a middle of the road solution for most things, including alcohol, right? So same thing with like emotional vulnerability and victimhood and stuff like that. Do you want to just like talk about your emotions all day and give into your emotions all day and feel like a victim? Or do you want to be on this other side of the coin that's absolute rejection of the idea that I'm a victim under any and all circumstances?
Yeah.
I'm on that side because I've tried the other side.
Yeah.
And I've also tried the middle. And the middle is almost worse than being all the way on the other side. Because the middle is just like, you have no idea what the fuck's going on because your mind doesn't operate that way. My mind doesn't operate in moderation in any instance, including alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is like a unit. It's your brain. It's your brain. It's not just like, I'm saying the alcoholic mind like it's specific to alcohol, but it's really not specific to alcohol. It's specific to literally everything in life, including emotional problems, including, physical endurance. It's black and white all the time. Is that healthy? Is it not healthy? Like, I don't know, but it's the way I am for sure. I've studied it. I know how I think. I've journaled on it for years. So I know this about myself. So that leaves me with two options. It's like, do I want to be on this side of the coin or do I want to be on this side of the coin? Either way, I got to be on an extreme. I can't be in the middle because I can't moderate anything in my life. I can't moderate. So I'm going to be on the side that's absolute rejection of the idea that I'm a victim. Yeah. So it's like mile 80 in a run and I feel like shit. Absolute rejection of the idea that I'm a victim. I signed up for this. This is my fault. Yeah. Right? Or I wake up and I feel sad. Absolute rejection of the idea that I'm a victim. I feel sad for some reason. God's trying to teach me something. I get up and I do what I need to do anyway. Right? Like that's always the mindset. And it wins every time is the crazy thing. It wins. Yeah. And then people like the therapist will come at me for that. And they'll be like, well, some people are victims. I'm like, true. Some people, I am a victim in some ways, but I refuse to believe that I am. Yeah. And because I hold that mindset and I hold that mindset to a standard and I hit that standard with that mindset every single day, like my life is a result of what that mindset has built. Yeah. So like, how can you tell me that that's wrong? If the alcoholic brain only has two options and one's white and one's black, like, how are you going to tell me that that's the wrong side of the coin to be on? Yeah. Because the white side of the coin is like, I'm sitting in therapy groups all day and I'm venting to a therapist about my emotions all day and I'm letting my emotions dictate my life because I'm a victim to my emotions. I'm a victim to my mental state. Exactly. How is that going to be any good for anybody? Like, I don't see how that could be any good for anybody. So I've migrated over to this other side and I'm just like, I'm all in on the absolute rejection of the idea that I'm a victim.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think too, because we've all had experiences where we've been a victim, but I like to think like I was a victim. Right. I'm not a victim. Right. So it's taking the identity out of it. And I think that's so important, even with depression, anxiety. Like I can experience depression, I can experience anxiety, but to then label it as I'm depressed or I'm anxious, like I like to think of it as an emotion that you experience rather than putting that identity into something, because I don't think that anyone is any particular emotion. Like these are all emotions that are meant to be felt and meant to guide us. Like even depression, like people say, oh, it's like deep rest. And that's even a signal. Like why are you feeling this? It's a signal going off in our
Right.
brain to evaluate something in our life that is not in alignment so that you can align better. Like, it is down to chemicals in our brain and all of that, but why is that chemical going off? And oftentimes there is something, an environmental factor, an emotional factor that you can have control
Right.
over.
So true. Yeah, I think like asking yourself why I'm experiencing this like changes the whole game. And I think that when you self-develop and when you go into the spiritual realm and you like get spiritually fit, it's like that's kind of like the direction that all that stuff points you to, is to question why you feel the way that you do, instead of just experiencing it and just accepting that like I feel this way and I'm going to just let it run my day because I feel this way. Instead, it's just like, well, why do I feel this way? Why
Mhm.
is this happening to me? Is can I learn something from this? Is God doing this on purpose? Is there a reason behind this? And like approaching it with that mindset is so much more beneficial, in my opinion, because your emotional state is so unstable. It's like you shouldn't like give it any power. You really shouldn't, because it's the same thing with motivation. It's just
Yeah.
fleeting, and happiness. It's just fleeting. My
Mhm.
money is all on purpose and fulfillment. I
Yeah.
have no eggs in the basket of happiness, because I've seen happiness. I've artificially made it happen to myself. I've felt it non-artificially as well, and I know that in either circumstance, it fleets. It
Mhm.
goes away. But purpose and fulfillment and faith in God doesn't go away. It's
Yeah.
always there. So I'd rather have my money in that basket and not in the other.
100%. Yeah, happiness is something that you experience so quickly. And I feel like when you chase that, oftentimes you're chasing that false sense of dopamine.
Right.
And even when we went and did the rim to rim to rim in the
Yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Canyon, like, I have a video that I took of myself saying, like, any high that you get from drugs, alcohol, binging, purging, restricting, whatever your unhealthy vice is, like, it does not compare to that level of high. So not
Right.
only is it not a false sense, but it's also one that you actually get longevity from. Like, stuff like that, you can never take that away from
No,
us.
no.
Like, that's not only in our internal bank, that's just something we've done until we die.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, like how we said, we have all our skeletons out the closet, and we've both been in situations where we've lost it all. Our reputation has been mud. Like, when you've been there, there's nothing, it's so freeing because there's nothing you can take away from
Yeah.
us. Like, once you've rebuilt, like, I know for a fact that I could just rebuild again. And I've
Yes.
had to rebuild
Yes.
again. I've had to rebrand and rebuild and everything.
Yes.
And when you do that, like, you just know and you build that confidence that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And that's not having the victimhood mindset and having more of a strategic mindset and confidence in yourself, unwavering confidence. And it's almost weird. I've seen from a influencer that we both like and follow, him post something that was talking about, it's almost a mix of still feeling a sense of inadequacy and having overbearing
Yes.
confidence.
Yeah.
And that's the deadliest mix. And I feel
Right.
like that's still what I have. I don't ever lose that edge or that sense of slight inadequacy. And I don't really think I want to,
Right.
because that's almost your edge and
Yeah.
it doesn't have an emotional consequence on me anymore.
Yeah.
And when you're able to get to the point where it doesn't emotionally affect you, but you just have that little edge in you,
Right.
and then you also are able to have unwavering confidence in yourself. It's not even confidence. I would say it's more faith. And it is
Yeah.
essentially more faith in God than yourself,
Right.
because you just know that no matter what, this is God's plan
Right.
and I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel that way about medical school too, because I feel like it's about being a doctor. It's about helping people. It's about, having like the knowledge bank to be able to like be the person in the position of like somebody comes in with a tumor, I know how to fix it. But it's also personal. It's me trying to prove a point to myself.
Yeah.
So it's got like that personal wave of motivation going for it too. And I feel like that's such a strong, strong motivator. Like it's so strong to be like when it's personal,
Yeah.
you know? And then also like with the long-term gratification, I feel the same way. And I tell people this all the time, and I'm like, I'm 6 years sober, but I still get high. And they're like, "Oh, so you're not sober?" No, 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 I'm still sober. I still get high. I just don't get high on drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
I get high on running ultra marathons. I get high on dropping everything and trying to get into medical school. I get high on trying to be this person that I have in my head that I'm not sure if I can be that person, but I know that that's my pathway forward. So I'm going to drop and sacrifice and risk it because like that's the pathway that I want to go down. So yeah, I think it's like important to know that just because you're sober doesn't mean you're not feeling good all the time. Like there is still so much good, like a whole nother level of being high behind getting sober. It's just not instantaneous. It's just not alcohol and drugs and waking up and feeling like shit the next morning. It's a longer process.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's important to recognize is that there's still times that I doubt myself. And like, that's what doesn't make sense about it. And it really doesn't make sense as a whole. Like when you said it just doesn't make sense, but there's just a picture. Like there are still days that I wake up in extreme self-doubt. But at the same time, no, it's all going to work out. So how does that even make sense? It doesn't. But it is just what it is. And I think kind of like what you were saying about how so many people start being like hating on the Instagram, hating on this, hating on that. Like I thought your Instagram was sick from day one.
You did. I know you did. And whenever I post something like that, you always slide up and you're always like, nope, wasn't me.
I'm like, no, don't get me there. When you had 12 followers, I was telling people that it was sick.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying though. Like you were one of those people that were in my corner for that, you know, and that's like, and I try to be the same way for you as well. And it's like, but there were a lot of people that weren't. There were a lot of people that weren't. So, yeah, no. And I obviously appreciate the shit out of that. So,
but that's why I'm saying like you find random people. Like I don't even think I've met Bill Lombard in person. And he's every mission I'm on, he's like, yes, awesome. Like he's like my biggest motivator. And I don't think I have met him in person. I've just heard him from your stories and stuff like that. And like, obviously we come from the same town, but like you just meet people like that are like, set your soul on fire. And it's a rarity and there's going to be less than them and they're going to be scattered across the country and the world. But it's better than having 20 people that are in your city or in your hometown that aren't really on your team. Like a lot of my best friends live around the country, like, and a lot of them I either met after I got sober, or there are people that were in my corner the entire time that our relationship developed or strengthened. And then some are sober themselves. And I think that that bond is just like unbreakable because I don't think many people know friendships or relationships where you just want to see the person win so badly and is actually genuine and there's no jealousy and no hate and no, you could tell me I want to go to the moon. I'd be like, Tava's going to the moon. Like I don't have any doubt. And you almost like believe in these people so much, almost more than yourself, where you're like, oh, I have to believe in myself too because of how much I believe in these other people.
It's just inspiring to be around people like that. You're around people that are just constantly pushing it, constantly like not satisfied. And that's like when I was in undergrad and I was just real quick on the cross country team, I was living with people that this one roommate I had was running 10 more miles a week than I was. And I was always like trying to catch him. And I'd go to my coach and I'd be like, coach, like I'm ready to run 80 miles like this week. Like I want to hurt. Like I want to be on that next, I want to be like Pat. You know, Pat was my roommate and I start running 80 miles a week. Pat starts running 90 and Pat's even more busy than I am. So I'm living in this house with Pat and I'm just like, dude, like I'm trying to fucking catch up to him, but I can't because he's just like, he's also trying to beat me. So, but it's not like in a competitive sense, like a narcissistic, like, oh, like I'm better than you. It's just like, we're pushing it. Like we're working off each other and we're pushing it. So it's like in Pat's mind, it's probably like, oh, if David can run 80 miles a week, then I can probably run 90. And then when Pat jumps up to 90, it's like, oh, if Pat can run 90 miles a week, I got to run 90 miles a week. You know? So it's just like when you're around people like that, it's just, it takes your life to a whole nother level. And it makes sense when you think about it too. Cause imagine if I was around people that were just going out to the bar on Friday and Saturday night. Like, I don't know. Would I be in medical school? Like probably not. I was on the cross country team in undergrad and those guys were going to the library every night. And I wasn't going out drinking because I don't want to go out drinking and I can't go out drinking because I can't even control myself. So I'm like, fuck that. I'll go to the library with you guys. And then next thing I know, it's like, I want to go to medical school. Next thing I know, I'm taking my MCAT. Next thing I know, I got an 800 SAT and I'm getting into medical school. Right. So like all these things, like there's so many tools that you can use to get to where you want to go. You just need to make that jump. You need to not listen to the noise. You need to drop people that don't want the best for you, that are holding you down. You need to find people that are on a similar mission as the one that you're on. And you need to cut the vices. You need to stop drinking. You need to stop getting high. You need to stop watching porn. And then you need to start doing the right things: journaling, meditating, praying, having conversations like this, picking up my phone, calling Bill Lumbar for an hour a week, talking to that guy, because I can mine so much wisdom from that guy. So all these things in accumulation change your life over a long time frame, like 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah. I think it's really the mix of, like, another paradox as a whole is really having no ego, detaching yourself from ego, but yet believing that we're limitless and we can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's such a strange, another really, really paradox there, but that is really the key. Just knowing that I can do anything, but I'm also attached to nothing.
Yeah.
And that really lets you do anything. But again, like, you've been a massive inspiration in my sobriety, in my life, like a day one cheerleader.
You as well.
Thank you. And like, I'm just so grateful to have you in my life and have you come on Get Real. And I know so many people are going to learn from this because it's one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard.
Thank you.
And I'm grateful to know you.
Thanks.
And thank you for coming down and flying down to Florida
Yep.
to Get Real
Yes.
in Miami.
Yep.